Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Go on Trumpet podcast. I'm your host, Elder Hale. This is my co-host, Elder Gary. And today we're going to be going over the very first part of the Book of Mormon.
So we also want to tell you guys why we've taken so long to release episode 2. And it's for a very important reason that I, Elder Carey, got hit by a truck. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. I am fine. My car is not fine, but I got a new one, so everything is fine. And hopefully now we should be able to start recording like usual.
Yeah, that is a hope. But I guess anyways, let's get to our story real quick.
Yep.
So our story begins in all places Jerusalem. Around 600 BC, I want to believe, about the time Ezekiel was around in the Old Testament.
Yep.
But our story doesn't revolve around Ezekiel, as his is covered in the Bible. What ours does follow is Lehi, who was a man who's lived in Jerusalem all his days, pretty decently well learned.
Yeah.
And one day he is shown a vision from the Lord, at which point he is shown the destruction of Jerusalem, as what seems to happen actually quite a few times in the. Now that I think about it, that kind of happened at least once or twice beforehand.
Yeah. If I had a nickel for every time that Jerusalem was destroyed, I would have 2 nickels, which is weird that it happened twice.
Ways. He then, of course, goes to try to preach, like, Jerusalem, stop being wicked already. Like, you're all going to get destroyed. It's all not going to be fun. A lot of you are going to get carried away into Babylon.
And let me tell you, they did not take that very well. They, of course, tried to kill Lehi because Lehi was calling them out for all their wickedness. So Lehi and his family were told to flee and to the wilderness, and of course they did. And through their journey, Lehi was told to send his sons Nephi, Laman, Lemuel, and Samuel, Nephi being the youngest, back to Jerusalem to collect something called the brass plates. Now, the brass plates are the record of Nephi's family's genealogy. So Nephi is, of course, very, very, very willing to return. And Laman and Lemuel, they think that Lehi was crazy for leading them away from Jerusalem, which Jerusalem was their home, and they had lots and lots of valuables in Jerusalem. So, of course, they returned to go to speak to Laban, who currently has the brass plates.
They decided the best solution was to go and ask very nicely, and they decided to basically draw lots, which is like drawing sticks. Basically, whoever gets a short stick has to go.
Oh, yeah.
And it was Laman. And so Laman goes and he's like, hey, Laban, can, listen, okay, our dad, he would really like those brass plates you've been keeping, Uncle. Can we have those? Yeah, Laban said no, and attempted to murder Laman.
And Laman barely got out of there with his life. After that, Laman did not want to return, but Nephi expressed that they really need those plates. So they have another idea, and that is returning to their home, what's they left, and grabbing all of their valuables, and they attempted to buy the brass plates from Laban. Now, they went up to Laban and they said, hey, we have all these valuables, all of the valuables of our father, Lehi. We're hoping that if we give you these in return, you can give us the brass plates. Now, that seemed like a tempting offer, but how did Laban respond?
He didn't take that well either. He said, oh, really? How about a new offer? Trade offer. I receive all your wealth. You receive death. And he tries to kill him again.
Yeah.
And this time they flee out of Jerusalem again. But now they've lost basically a second time, and now they don't have anything now to try to bargain or barter with.
Yeah.
So Laman and Lemuel do the classical thing that a lot of brothers do and start beating the heck out of their other 2 brothers with sticks.
Yes, classic brother thing, beating your younger brother with a stick.
The angel of the Lord had to come down and be like, yo, no.
But chill out, brothers.
Don't go beat up your younger brothers with a stick, please. Look, okay? He has a lot of important things to do, and he needs to be able to do them, and he needs to be alive to do those. So how about this? You knock it off, and you'll be able to get those plates. Now, Laman and Lemuel, who had just seen an angel speak directly to him, did stop beating their brother. But holy cow, they weren't going back to Jerusalem anyways. And they immediately went back to complaining.
Yep.
To which Nephi said, okay, I'll just do it myself. And so
Yeah.
Nephi has to sneak back into the city because by this point it's night. And as he's sneaking back in, he beholds a person fallen to the earth via drunkenness. And of course, he goes to check on him and discovers
He discovers that that person that fell from drunkenness was actually Laban himself, who had got so wasted at a party that he stumbled outside and he was on the floor. So Nephi, well, when he discovers his body, he is told by the Lord to take Laban's sword and slay Laban. Nephi had never killed someone before, so
he, of course, said, yo, whoa, wait a minute. Lord, you said thou shalt not kill. We can't do this. The Lord said, look, I set up, provide a way. Here he is, in your hands. I need you to slay him. To which Nephi said, no, okay, I've never done this before. To which the Lord said, Nephi, it's better that Laban dies than your entire posterity dwindle in unbelief. Those plates contain the commandments, the genealogy of your fathers, and the word of the Lord. If you don't get that, and also successfully get away without, like a bunch of people chasing after you, this will all be for naught.
yeah.
So Nephi chose to follow the commandment of the Lord and beheaded Laban. He took the sword, smart choice, but he also had a plan. You see, he took the garments of Laban and he basically just walked right in because, see, Nephi, despite being the younger brother, was described being a man large in stature.
Indeed.
I would assume he'd be a quarterback if he was in college.
So Nephi, he goes into Laban's treasury and he goes to Laban's servant, Zoram, and he rolls a nat 20 in deception, and he gets Zoram to give him the plates of brass, and Nephi also instructs Zoram to follow him.
And of course, upon exiting Jerusalem, his three brothers, who were, watching from behind a rock they were kind of hiding behind, see what they believe to be Laban, are like, oh crap, he killed Nephi! He's after us now! So Nephi had to be like, whoa, wait, guys, it's me, Nephi! But now Zoram's panicked, because he's like, oh, shoot, this ain't Laban, this is an imposter! And attempts to flee. At which point, the Nephi, being large of stature, just basically, I would assume, grabs him by the collar of his shirt and is like, yo, whoa, Zoram.
Yeah, I like to think that Nephi football tackled him, but who really knows? It doesn't really say how he held Zoram back, but he did keep Zoram, and he actually convinced Zoram to follow along with him back to where Lehi and his wife are staying to flee from Jerusalem, which is going to be destroyed.
And so they continue their journey in with the breastplates, a new friend, travel companion, and also, I guess, someone to be saved, Zoram. At which point they return, and, well, you see, it was just their parents in the wilderness, so there was a bit of fighting between them, mostly because, you sent our sons back, and, they hadn't returned, they might be dead, oh, we should never have done this, and by the time they returned, she's like, oh, I guess this really is up to the Lord. He returned my sons back safely, and they've accomplished this thing which the Lord hath requested of us. To which they did as was customary at the time, which was offer burnt sacrifices, as that was, of course, customary at the time, since, well, Jesus hasn't been on the cross yet. But that's still a long ways off. We haven't even gotten past 600 BC yet, so tune in next time for next episode. But for now, discussion.
Yep. What I really liked about Nephi is, even though he is the youngest brother, so naturally you would think that the youngest brother would also be the most scared, the most cautious, because not as experienced. But Nephi was the sole thing holding this group together. He really wanted to follow the Lord's commandments, even though they know that it's hard, and that Laban tried to kill them not once but twice. And he still followed along, even though he knew it was going to be difficult. That is a really admirable thing for somebody to have, especially modern people. it's really difficult to do something that could possibly risk your life. As long as you follow the Lord and have Him guide you every step, then you'll never be led astray. Do you have any thoughts upon the story, Elder Ham?
I don't know. I guess I found it very interesting how, it didn't just speed through anything. I mean, sure, we gave a really fast description of it, but you can kind of read up on this yourself in the Book of Mormon. But what was just really fascinating to me, especially growing up and seeing this, was just really how much they really kind of had to do to get there. It wasn't simply they just waltzed back and were handed it on a silver platter.
Okay.
If anything, they kind of had to hand over that silver platter just to have Laban and Fred put their heads on it.
Yeah, it's not like a trip to Walmart. It's not like a 15-minute drive to the store and back to go and fetch some brass plates, maybe a side of Dr. Pepper. No, this journey, if I remember, it's not an easy one. It took them a long time to get back to Jerusalem. I want to say 4 months, but who knows how accurate that is.
Well, it was 275 miles between them and Jerusalem when they left off.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a very. I want to say that was roughly what it was. I don't know. It's been a while. It doesn't actually say in the Book of Mormon, but I believe that was roughly what was believed to have been the case.
That's a really long walk, even for modern cars. That is quite a long drive, and it's just amazing that how faithful that they were that they'll do all of that to fetch brass plates.
And the Lord provided a way. They trusted in the Lord, and He delivered them. And I would say, I would walk 275 miles to go accomplish the Lord has requested of me. Would you walk 275 miles or even more?
I would walk 276. No more. Nah, I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
oh yeah, you're supposed to go the extra mile to help people.
Exactly. You're supposed to go the extra mile to help people. It may not seem helping people may not seem like much, but as they say, a pebble can start an avalanche.
That's
Going out every day and helping a good avalanche, an avalanche of joy, of goodness, not
no. Think about that. That pebble would start an avalanche, and then we would go in to give Christ-like service. I feel like that's maybe the wrong way to think about it, but in reality, we do that. Church does a lot of humanitarian aid. I got to do humanitarian aid, even over in Europe.
Indeed.
But that's a whole nother story for another time. So we
Yeah.
thank you all for
Thank you.
listening to us go through what we know
Yep.
and to try our best to share Christ's light. We just hope that you have received it.
And we want to end this with an invitation. We invite you all to go and find somebody to serve. It may not seem like much, but that one person that you serve, he or she will be touched, and that person could possibly go to serve another person because you serve them. And we both know that service is a very important thing, and God's commandments are even more important. So we thank you for listening to this podcast, and
Thank you all, and have a good night.
have a good night.